Welcome back in. It's time to talk about your money now. I know a lot of you are focused on just making ends meet, trying to get the most out of your paycheck right now, but you can't lose sight of the big picture financially in terms of planning for retirement. Marshall Clay from the Welsh Group joins us this morning with some insight on that. Good to see you this morning.
Hey, good to see you.
Yeah, there's kind of like this checkup you have to do to kind of make sure you got all your orders in order. So talk about that a little bit. Where do we start?
Yeah, so I think a lot of times we get bogged down with the micro aspects of financial planning where we're talking about rates of return over a small period of time and we really lose sight of the big picture. And I think it's important for particularly retirees, when they get into that area of their life, there's a couple of things that they really need to focus on that they often overlook.
A lot of these you already talked about. You may not be able to go into detail about all of them, but let's go ahead and start.
Yeah, so I think just planning for the worst is kind of the first thing I would say. You want to run some stress tests on your retirement plan, whether it pertains to emergency cash. I know Stuart Welch and I have talked a lot about that as it pertains to retirees and what's going on in the world right now. But when we're talking about estate documents, we're getting a little dire. But what happens if you prematurely pass away? I mean, that's a big one. You got to kind of plan for that worst case scenario.
So know where they are. Make sure your executor and other people know where they are.
Exactly. And then when we're talking about rate of return assumptions, make sure the assumptions in your retirement plan are moderate to conservative, right? We've had a great 10 to 12 year run in the stock market. Stocks have returned between 12 and 14%. Make sure that your planning assumptions moving forward aren't that aggressive, right? You don't want to assume for 12 to 14% year-over-year returns and then the market doesn't return something anywhere near that and it puts you in a box. So planning for the worst and hoping for the best, I think.
Then you don't have enough money, and that's everybody's fears. You don't have enough money to last how long you live.
Right. And so I think these last 2 points are really tied together, and it's really this idea of continuity, right? I meet with a lot of people, and it's very typical that, particularly when there's two spouses, there's one spouse that takes the financial lead. The other spouse oftentimes doesn't really know how the bills are paid, doesn't know where the investments are. And so I think the other spouse having a really good understanding of what's going on, where the assets are, and what they need to do in the event that financial lead is no longer there is very important. And then, look, if they're just disinterested or they can't pick up on some of these concepts, looking to, hire a third party that can give the family unit that continuity. And that also really ties into bringing the children into the fold. I know a lot of parents are apprehensive about talking about finance, talking about their own personal finances with their children. But I think it's important because sometimes there's some obligations that the children may have that they don't know that they're going to have.
Right.
Maybe later on, maybe the finances don't look that great and they're going to have some financial responsibilities. And then lastly, I would say it just sets a good example for your children. I mean, thinking through these issues, it shows them that this is what an adult is supposed to do.
Difficult conversations, but you have to have them. So, because if you pass, like you said before, expected, it can cause your family a lot of problems.
Yeah, plan for the worst, hope for the best.
That's right. Marshall Clay from the Welsh Group, we do appreciate it. We got the buzz on the way.